Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Best of British Blackwell. There's some changes this week because the Best of British Blackwell kitchen has changed slightly. I've removed the window that used to be right here and it's opened my kitchen up lovely. It's just made it ideal for filming some recipes for you. I'll give you a couple of shots of that in just a minute. There's some other big news this week as well. So we've reached 1,000 followers on Instagram, which is absolutely wonderful. I must thank you all if you followed us. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, have a look. We post recipes on there and I post some pictures on there. We are at Best of British Blackwell, so give us a follow. Also, if you are a returning visitor to the page, why not consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Press the subscribe button. You'll get notifications when I make a new video. What are we doing today? So today I am going to be paying an homage to a wonderful cook and a wonderful YouTuber called Guga Foods. He recently made a wonderful beef short rib recipe, which I'm going to be copying slightly. I'll post a link to Guga's page below as well, and I'm also going to be showing you how to make some kind of gratin, but it's really special gratin potatoes that I made a couple of weeks ago, and I posted a photo on Instagram and asked you if you'd like to see how those are made, and the response I got was wonderful, so I'm going to show you how to make those. I won't lie, these take a very long time, these recipes. The beef ribs take 24 hours. You need 24 hours to prepare the potatoes, but trust me, when you've done it, it's all incredibly worthwhile. So come over, have a look at the ingredients, let's make a start. So just before we do start cooking, here are the changes that we've made to the kitchen. There used to be a big double glazing window there, where obviously this was the outside of the house at some stage. So we've removed that, and then as we pan around, you'll see that we've installed this lovely like kind of breakfast bar area. That's where I was filming from just a minute ago. So it gives me the opportunity to give you some really nice close-ups here. But it's really opened the Best of Blackwell kitchen open. It's really opened the kitchen up nicely. So we're very pleased with that. Okay, so for the beef ribs, we've got 4 beautiful beef short ribs here. These are becoming much more widely available in pretty much all supermarkets or butchers now. A couple of years ago you'd have struggled to get hold of these, but now they're quite common. All we're going to do with these really is we're going to brown them off. Then we're going to create a garlic, red wine and shallot sauce, which I will show you over on the pan in a minute. Then we're going to vacuum pack these, seal them and cook them for 24 hours in our water bath, in our Nova water bath. So they're going to be cooked long, low and slow in the sauce that we make with the shallots and the garlic. So I'm going to show you that process next really quickly. So for browning these pieces of beef rib, I'm literally going in there in the pan, straight off. There's no oil in this pan. These bones and these fatty bits around this beef ribs, they will let off a little bit of fat, so you don't need to add any oil to this pan at this stage. Just get them straight in the pan. We're going to season them. We're going to season them a few times while they're in this pan, and then all we're looking to do is brown them off. I'll show you them when they're done. Okay, so that's about as far as we want to go in terms of browning these beef ribs off. You don't need to go any further than that. And then as I said, obviously, look, you can see in the bottom of the pan here, there's a little bit of beef fat in the bottom, which is lovely for the next stage. We're going to get a knob of butter into this pan, and then we're going to get some of our chopped shallots in here. Get them straight in, and just start softening these down. We get the shallots in before the garlic because we don't want the garlic to burn. So these are softened up lovely. Now we're going to get our chopped garlic in there. There's about 3 cloves of garlic, 4 medium-sized cloves, you know. Between 2 and 3 cloves, that's what you want, depending on how much you like the garlic. And just fry this off. Now we're going to turn the heat down a little tiny bit. Just let the garlic cook out. Okay, now that everything's cooked out, you've got some beautiful aromas coming out of here. What we're going to do is we're going to add our red wine. Any type of red wine will do. I'm using a Cabernet Sauvignon here. It doesn't really matter. You just want a lovely red wine sauce. So add a good bit in there, you know, 200 mils, something like that. You'll immediately see that the red wine will take all of the heat from the pan. It will cool the temperature of the pan. It will almost stop those shallots and garlic cooking. That's fine. That's what you want. That's not a problem. I like to add a little bit of cherry wine in here for sweetness as well. This is incredibly sweet, but I think it works wonderfully with the beef rib. So good glug in there. Now all we're looking to do is bring this up to a simmer and reduce this sauce down. I'll show you the consistency we're looking for. Okay, now we've let this simmer away. Now look at that, look at the consistency change. That's thickened up beautifully, that's very syrupy now, which means we've burnt off the alcohol in the red wine, so it's not going to be too harsh, and we've allowed it to reduce as well. And it's an incredibly sweet smell because you've got those sweet shallots and that cherry wine in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer this over to a jug, and we are going to now vacuum seal our beef ribs and get them cooking. Okay, so when it comes to vacuum sealing, means I've put 2 beef ribs into each pack. Don't really want any more than that. I've transferred our sauce, it is still very hot, into a jug here to make it easier to pour in. I have got around about 400 mils, so I just pour in until I get to about 200. That's good for me. And then on my vacuum sealer, there's a setting where I can actually manually do this, because what we don't want is any of the juice getting up inside the vacuum sealer. It's a nightmare to clean. So we do our pulse vacuum. Oops, change that. And when I can see the sauce moving up into here, that's when I stop there and manually seal it. I'm going to do that with the next one, and then we'll get them into our sous vide water bath, which I've set for 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to be cooking these for 24 hours. Okay, so now we've got those beef short ribs cooking away. They're going to take 24 hours. The other part of this dish, which is going to take 24 hours, are these little kind of fried potato gratins. Well worth the effort, trust me. Come over and have a look at what you need, and we'll make a start on these two. So for this dish, the ingredients are really very simple. You're going to need some salt and pepper. You're going to need some of this grated Parmesan. I'm using the very fine grated, almost powder-like Parmesan here. You're going to need some potatoes. You're also going to need one of these kind of like loaf dishes or loaf tins. I use the silicone ones. You're going to need 2 of these in total, and I'll show you why. The first one that you're going to use, you're actually going to put the potatoes in here. So I've lined this with some greaseproof paper. The other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a nice big bowl. You're going to need some double cream. So I'm using around about 300 mils of double cream here. So get this in a bowl ready for when you're starting to peel the potatoes. And you're also going to need a similar amount of milk. Now the first step to this dish is to just basically get these potatoes peeled, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so once we've got all the potatoes peeled, I'm just going to show you with one potato here. You're going to need to get your mandolin. I've got mine here, and we're going to want to test how thin we can get these pieces of potato, okay? So a couple of tests, mind your fingers. Let's see how thin they're coming out. Now that is about perfect. Hopefully you can see there. They're about 1 to 2 mil. So they're not so thin, but they're thin enough where you can almost see through them. That's absolutely perfect. So we don't have to change the settings on the mandolin. What we do is we take these little slices and we get them straight into this water. It's not water, is it? This cream and milk mixture. Now the other key thing is don't wash these potatoes. You want the starch from these potatoes to head into this mix. So just keep slicing away. Once you've done all of the potatoes, make sure they're well submerged in this dish, then we'll come back to the next stage. Okay, so we're at the stage now where we've got all of these potatoes finely sliced in this butter, in this milk and cream mixture. I'll get that right in a minute. Now, what we want to do is start layering these in to this loaf tin. And let me just show you the first couple of layers. This will take a little bit of time, so you need to be patient, and it can get a little bit messy, but trust me, it's really worthwhile. Just take a nice layer, in fact, first of all, butter. I've got a lot of melted butter here, and what I want to do is just get some of this around the outside here. The butter's what makes this a little bit messy, actually, but there we go. Nice layer on there. And then all we want to do is layer these potatoes, which are incredibly thin, one layer at a time, nice and solidly inside the bottom of this dish. It doesn't matter, these potatoes are so thin, it doesn't matter if they overlap a little bit, you're not worried about that. You just want to create a nice solid layer at the bottom here, okay? When you've got a solid layer and you can't see the rest of the dish, you're going to need a tea towel, like I said, because your hands are going to get a little bit dirty when you're doing this. You go in with some seasoning, salt and pepper, then you go in with a decent pinch Parmesan, and then you get your melted butter. You drip a little bit of melted butter in there, and then you start with the next layer. Hopefully you can see that. It's only a very thin layer, but every time you add a new layer, you want to be putting some pressure on this. You want to be pushing it down a little bit, because you want to create as many fine layers of potato as you possibly can. This isn't a normal potato gratin or potato dauphinoise where the potatoes are chopped quite thick. These are tiny, tiny, thin little slivers. And every tiny little layer that you create, you want to build the flavour profile. So pepper, salt again, Parmesan, melted butter. I would say there's going to be at least 30 or 40 layers here. So let me crack on with this and I'll show you what we do with it when that's done. Okay, so look, you can see that we've now absolutely filled this loaf tin with dozens and dozens of layers of those beautifully thin potatoes. Naturally, because they were soaking in that milk and cream solution, they've taken on a little bit of that milk and cream. But before we move on to our next stage, what we're going to do is get a spoon and just ladle some of this leftover milk and cream into this. Now what we're going to do is get this onto a baking tray, because this might overflow a little bit in your oven. And then you want to use the excess greaseproof paper just to cover this over as best you can. This is going to go in the oven on 180 degrees for between 30 and 40 minutes. I'm going to check it after 20 minutes by dipping a knife inside it just to see if those potatoes are done. We're not looking to bake this, we're not looking to cook it all in one go. We are looking to just get those potatoes soft, and then we take them straight out of the oven, and I'll show you the next part. Okay, so our potatoes have now been in the fridge under the weight of this other loaf tin, which is full of water, so we can empty that out now. They've now been in the fridge for 24 hours. And what you can see has happened is they've got nice and cold, and they've been pressed and solidified down into a nice block here, which is exactly what we're looking for. Now what we're going to do is turn these out, and we're going to trim them up a little bit so they're in smaller, more manageable pieces. Now's an ideal time to do that because they've cooled nicely. Okay, so here we go. We've managed to get it out of the mould. All we're going to do now is we're just going to take a little bit off of the edge here just to trim it up. There's nothing wrong with these edge pieces, but what we want is a nice square or rectangle shape piece of potato here. Now hopefully you can see up close there the number of layers that we've got in these potatoes. Now once you've trimmed and wrapped these up, you can keep them in the fridge for a couple of days and just bring them out when you want to use them. These are going to be wrapped, they're going to go straight back in the fridge, and I'm going to get these out later when we're ready to start serving up. So our beef ribs now have been in this water bath for just over 24 hours, and what we're going to do now is just take these packets out, let them dry down a little bit, and then as you can see, look at all of the juice and the moisture inside these packets. What we want to do is just let them dry out a little bit, then we're going to snip them, we're going to take the meat out, put the meat to one side, but we're going to retain all of the juices from inside these packets. Okay, so we've drained the juice off of these beef ribs now, and just take a look at these. They are absolutely, I mean, look at that. Look at the way the bone just fell off of that meat there, and I think you'll find that's going to be the case with pretty much all of these ribs, and that's what you want to do. You want to slide these bones out, we're going to be serving this as a whole chunk of meat. Look how just nice and easily after 24 hours these bones fall off here. And that's absolutely perfect. And then what we want to do with this meat is set it aside. I've got a little roasting tin here. While we're waiting for our potatoes and our sauce to render down, we can just put this in a little warming shelf in the oven. So hopefully what you can see now is that I've got two pans on the go here. These are all the cooking juices that came out of the sous vide beef rib. No messing around with these, they've just gone straight into a pan. I've got them on a low to medium heat. I'm just bringing some heat through them, slowly but surely reducing that down. We're going to finish that off with a little bit of cream and some pepper later on. In this pan here, I've got some butter. Admittedly, quite a lot of butter. This is not the type of dish that you're going to have every single day of the week or once a week. You know, this is a really special potato dish that you've spent nearly 2 days making, so you may as well make it luxurious. So there's quite a lot of salted butter in there at the moment that I've brought to a medium heat. There's 3 cloves of garlic in there. And now what we do is we take our potatoes, we place them into the pan. I'm going to be cooking these 2 at a time. They just go straight into the pan. Put them cut side down. And slowly but surely, what we're going to do is we're going to baste these in this salted butter and garlic mix. We're not looking to cook these in a hurry. We're looking to brown them off nice and slowly, get them completely toasted, completely covered. They will fall apart a little bit. You really don't need to worry about that at all. Just take your time with these. These will take about 10-15 minutes to get them where we want them. By that time this sauce would have reduced. We've got another little bit of veg on the go in here. We've got some more in the oven, and we've got that beautiful beef rib that's just warming. So we are not far away now from being able to serve this up, and I'm going to show you the next stage of getting this sauce ready and these potatoes brown. Okay, so we're very, very close to serving up now. Our potatoes are pretty much done. All it needs now is for us to add about 100 mils of cream, using double cream, to this beautiful gravy that we've got going on here. It just sweetens it up a little bit, adds to the flavour. You know, I'm not going to say that this isn't a beautifully luxurious, indulgent sauce. It really is. Just add this in there. If you get, like I've got here, a little bit of oil on the top, you can just sift that off with a spoon if you need to. The beef rib is a very fatty piece of meat, so you will get a little bit of redundant fat on there. But if you just let this sit for just a second, that fat will just congregate around the outside of the pan, and you can just take a spoon and slowly but surely take the fat off of there. You can see it on the spoon there already. It takes about a couple of minutes, so I'll do that just before we get ready to serve, but everything's pretty much ready to dish up now. Okay, so after nearly 2 days of cooking, let me introduce this to you. It's a wonderful beef rib with beautiful thin sliced gratin potatoes, served with a lovely medley of tricolor carrots, some roasted cauliflower, some beautiful steamed peas and broccoli. And let's just have a little look. So we've got some sauce here that has to go straight in over those ribs. We don't need any more than that. And what I want to do is just cut into one of these ribs and show you. I mean, you could do it with the fork. Look at that. Like pulled beef. Absolutely superb. These potatoes, I'm not going to lie to you, they didn't come out as well as they did the first time I cooked them and when I put them on my Instagram page. But let me just show you something. Let me just take this fork, look. Take the side of the fork and you can cut straight through these potatoes with that fork. Every single mouthful is absolutely full of beautiful butter and garlic and potato. So there we have it. We've cooked beautiful beef rib, lovely gratin potatoes, but slightly special. It takes a little while but you know, with it being Valentine's Day, I thought I'd put the effort in. If you like this video, again, please like, subscribe. Look out for some future videos, which includes me taking delivery of a wonderful Kamado Joe outdoor grill. Really can't wait for that. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, stay safe. See you soon.